haven't announced it yet, Joe, but it is an agreement to share these matches because it takes on quite a few additional fixtures that haven't already been picked by Sky Sports and BT. So I think it's probably safe to assume the games that have already been selected by both Sky and BT, they'll probably keep, and then I'd imagine the rest get carved up between Amazon Prime and the BBC. So it is quite a change. For Irish people who are thinking about getting Amazon Prime, the rights holder here are Premier Sports as opposed to Amazon. So you'll be watching the games in Ireland. Those games are picked up by Amazon will be on Premier Sport here as opposed to that service. But it's going to be very interesting to see football back on the Beeb. You'd imagine they're probably going to pick up quite a few fixtures along the way. It's interesting how the fixture list has fallen as well, that Man City are likely to play twice before Liverpool do. So there's a chance that Liverpool could wrap up the title against Everton, depending what happens with Man City. If City weren't to win their two games, Liverpool could have the chance to wrap up the title against their rivals, albeit probably at a neutral ground. They haven't actually defined that yet, Joe, either.
Okay. And you said midweek matches scheduled Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 o'clock and 6 o'clock. Do we know yet, will there be games every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday at those two times, or are they just optional?
I think they're optional for the moment, but I'd imagine the Premier League are probably going to follow La Liga's lead on this one. La Liga went to court with the Spanish Federation yesterday, and eventually a decision was made that they can show matches across 7 days of the week. Given that the Premier League in the last half hour or so have sent us these kick-off times, I'd imagine they're not sending out a 6 o'clock and an 8 o'clock kick-off between Tuesday and Thursday for no reason. And if they want to get the season finished quickly, you would think the teams could well be out every second or third day to play. So I would imagine we're going to have an absolute feast of football. Serie A is going to start on the same weekend as the Premier League as well. La Liga coming back the weekend before, and the Bundesliga will be continuing as well. So in all likelihood, if you're a football fan, you're going to have a choice of football games to watch every single night of the week for all of June.
How long to wrap up these 92 games? 3-4 weeks?
I'd imagine probably around, they were talking kind of 4 or 5 weeks when they were talking about the talks earlier. So you've got about a month of Premier League football to look forward to. They still have 10 rounds of fixtures to complete. So if they do go every kind of 2-3 days, you'd imagine that 4 weeks is probably a good estimate. Maybe 5 weeks if they have to delay it out slightly, because they are starting on a Wednesday night. But yeah, it looks like you're going to be running from June to mid-July, which will resume hope that the Premier League can kick off for the 2021 season reasonably close to where they would have started. I'd imagine maybe they'll make the pre-season a little bit longer, but there's no reason to think the Premier League couldn't be back by late August or September. These plans have definitely come a little bit further forward than we were expecting.
Okay, so Wednesday 17th of June it all kicks off, and then it's a bonanza every day of the week. Right, let's skip Charlie Nicholas just for time purposes as well. Blackburn captain Elliot Bennett, 2 Fulham players as well, they've tested positive.
They have, and Elliot Bennett said he was quite surprised as well, Joe. He had no idea he was carrying any symptoms. He actually was asymptomatic when he was tested, and he said the first time he had any inkling that he was positive was when he received the test result today. It follows the latest round of coronavirus testing by the English Football League as it aims to return to playing matches again in the next couple of months. More than 1,000 players and staff in the English second flight were tested in all 24 of the division's teams. They're not testing at the moment for League One or League Two, which definitely leaves the future of those leagues up in the air at the moment.
There is a pent-up feeling amongst GAA ranks. They want change. They want things to loosen more quickly than the GAA are planning to loosen them. John Horan has talked today.
Yeah, I suppose the phrase we used last night, Joe, was the tide is turning, and it definitely feels that way because John Horn has said today he feels social distancing of 2 metres will remain the biggest hurdle in bringing back contact sport. He says the association could bring forward their planned resumption date, which at the moment is July 20th, but he says they will only make that call if it's deemed safe to do so. Horn added that he can understand frustration among members at the moment, but he doesn't want to make false promises about when activities can resume.
This return has to be safe. And I fully understand that there's a huge frustration out there, and you can see articles in the media where people are pushing to actually go back. But if you actually take into account what the government have said, the government guideline pushes out to a date of the 20th of July. We have never pushed beyond that date. As I said in a previous interview, if we can bring that forward, we will bring it forward, but we will only do it in a prudent manner and a manner that's safe for our membership. And, you know, I do sympathise as well. Like, there's parts of Ireland where, you know, the outbreaks of the COVID-19 virus is very, very low, and people may well feel safe there, but overall it's an across the association. We have to stay in this together, and the big challenges are probably more in urban areas, and I understand that, and I do get a feel for the frustration, and people are contacting me about that frustration. But you know, we have to make the safe and prudent decisions going forward. We will get back. It's the timing of it has to be appropriate for everybody's safe well-being, and when that comes around, yeah, I'd be happy to say, yeah, we're back and let's get on with it. But you know, There's no talking about we won't be back until there's a vaccine, and there's no talking about we won't be back until social distancing is acceptable. But as long as social distancing is the priority at 2 metres, that is a big hurdle for us to bring back contact sport.
He's talking about coming back playing matches there, and that's not really the issue, I think, at the moment. There's a large number, it's not massive, but certainly a few high-profile people have talked about pitches just being open for a kickabout or for pokeabout, as opposed to any pressure on the GAA to bring back matches any sooner. And from June 8th, that would be allowed. I mean, I think technically it might be allowed from now, to be honest, but certainly June 8th, that would certainly be allowed once there's no contact. He didn't really seem to address that, like the opening of pitches as such, or did he?
No, he kind of again mentioned that, again, it's the case of the advisory group will look at this and they're potentially going to look at opening up. Again, I think as we've said a couple of nights this week, there's a real feeling in the GAA that their kind of community activity part of the grounds are likely to open first. So you're looking at your walking tracks as opposed to allowing people in for a kickabout or a puckabout. But pressure has definitely been ratcheting up over the last week. You mentioned some high-profile names like TJ Reid, who said, look, can we not just get grounds open at this stage, allow a few small groups of people to come in under their own responsibility, as long as they're members of the club, let them go in and have a puckabout, have a kickabout, do the running session at the GA pitch, as opposed to doing it in local parks or on the street. And I think public opinion has definitely changed on that over the last few days. And I think this has been reflected in terms of what Tom Ryan said a couple of nights ago, and now that update from John Horn this afternoon as well. I think the GA at this stage are now preparing, and their advisory group are likely to make a call very soon indeed that grounds are going to be open. I would be shocked if they stay closed till July the 20th. Maybe it won't be June the 8th, but I think they will bring that date forward. I've no doubt, John.
OK, let's skip ahead to Michael Fenley.
Yeah, he's announced his retirement from hurling today, the Kilkenny legend, 35 years of age, captained his club Ballyhale Shamrocks to All-Ireland success in January. He hangs up his boots with 8 All-Ireland and 5 All-Ireland club medals. The 2011 Hurler of the Year will now focus on his job as manager of the Offaly senior team. And I can tell you as well, Joe, that on Saturday week he's dressing up in full drag as Tina Turner for a fundraiser for the Offaly senior hurling panel. I received the video yesterday and I'm still none the better for having seen it. Well,
we can all look forward to that. So to finish up then, European Tour, today would have been actually the Irish Open. I mean, geez, needless to say, the weather's beautiful, and if it was on, then it would have poured from the heavens, I'm sure. So the European Tour have released a couple of dates where they are rescheduling different tournaments. The Irish Open doesn't feature in that initial batch.
No, and it came up in the conference call this afternoon that the European Tour held after they announced the resumption date of the 22nd of July for the tour season coming back. The Irish Open came up because you mentioned normally we would have probably been in Kilkenny this week preparing in the sunshine for Mount Juliet, and the Dubai Duty Free Irish Open is very much part of the plans for the season according to the European Tour. Their CEO Keith Pelly was speaking at that conference call. He says they're looking at 3 or 4 potential dates to reschedule the tournament at Mount Juliet. They're all expected to be in October. He added that the Irish Open is a hugely important event on their calendar. It is part of the Rolex series as well, and he says talks are ongoing with organisers. At this time, there's a bit of a change to the European Tour schedule as well, because we got those first 6 tournaments after we come back. They'll be back on the 22nd of July with the British Masters, first of all, at Close House near Newcastle. That'll be the first event on tour since March. And then some new tournaments have been added in, 5 that weren't part of the original schedule. The English Open, the English Championship, the Celtic Classic, the Wales Open and the UK Championship, all going to be played at British venues across 6 different weeks. So it's very clear where the kind of landing point is for the European Tour to get back underway. And then we'll see after that where they're going to progress. I think Keith Pelly said as well, the only tournament for the rest of the season that hasn't moved from its original date is the Dunhill Links. Every single other tournament will have to move now.
OK. Will O'Callaghan, thanks very much. That is the news round for this evening. I should remind you as well, our Aviva series continues. Ireland's largest insurer. They're marking the 10-year anniversary of the official opening of the Aviva Stadium and its proud long-term sponsorship of the venue. And to celebrate, they're paying tribute to some of the more memorable sporting moments of the past decade. And you can join in as well. You can follow Aviva Ireland on Instagram and Twitter. Share your favourite Aviva Stadium memories using the hashtag #SafeToDream. We are on to the semi-final stage of finding the most memorable, iconic rugby moment of the 10 years of the new stadium. And yesterday, Robbie Henshaw booked his place in the final for the try against England. Today, we asked you to choose between Jacob Stockdale, his try against the All Blacks in 2018, versus Brian O'Driscoll's try against England in 2011. It was a landslide, not surprisingly. Jacob Stockdale, his try against the All Blacks, 74% to 25%. So tomorrow, it's Stockdale versus Henshaw for the most iconic moment at the Aviva Stadium when it comes to rugby. We'll take a short ad break. John Giles is next.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Great value car insurance on.
To celebrate, congratulate, or just let someone know you're thinking of them. At Flower